In today's video, Atoms Part 1, we'll try to get an insight into structure of the atom. The video is first in a series which will be covering the unit atoms in the physics syllabus. The first model of the atom was proposed by Thomson. Thomson conducted a number of experiments on cathode rays and he studied the charge to mass ratio known as E by m of the electrons. He found that irrespective of the source of cathode rays, whether he used aluminium or copper or different metals, he always got the same value of E by m, that is charge to mass ratio of the cathode rays. The conclusion was that electrons are present in all matter, that is they are one of the basic constituents of all matter. Secondly, it was a well-known fact that atom overall is electrically neutral. So using these two factors, he proposed a model known as plum pudding model. According to the model, the atom consists of positively charged matter, which you can see here, with electrons embedded in it. The overall negative charge on electrons is equal to the positive charge on the inside the atom. That accounts for the overall electrical neutrality of the atom. Thomson further tried to investigate the behavior of the atom by proposing that the vibrations of the electrons lead to emission of the spectral lines with a frequency equal to their own. However, he failed to calculate mathematically the spectral series of hydrogen and other atoms, because according to his model the vibrations of electrons can be with any frequency, whereas in spectral series we got discrete spectral lines with definite frequencies. The model failed to explain this emission of the spectral series. Secondly, the result of Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment were not explained using this Thomson's model. So this model had to be discarded. Now coming to a very famous experiment in physics which laid foundation of the structure of the atom as we know it today was alpha particle scattering experiment known as Rutherford's experiment. The experiment was carried out by Geiger and Marsden. Geiger and Marsden were experimental physicists who carried out the experiment on suggestion from Rutherford. The setup of the experiment is shown in the diagram. We have a thick lead block, and in this thick lead block we have a radioactive material which is a source of alpha particles. The alpha particles emitted, they are passed through a collimator C. The function of a collimator is to change the alpha particles to a narrow beam which is used to hit a thin gold foil G. After passing through the gold foil, the alpha particles are studied. As they hit this zinc sulfide screen S, they produce light. These light scintillations are viewed with the help of the microscope. You have a lead block, a collimator, a thin gold foil, the zinc sulfide screen on a microscope. This is the setup used, and the number of alpha particles scattered in different directions were recorded by moving this microscope. Theta is the angle of scattering because this is the original direction of motion of the alpha particles, and this is the direction of one of the scattered alpha particles. The observations in the experiment were most of the alpha particle go out undeviated or the scattering angle is small. The same is shown in graph also. Here along x-axis we have plotted the angle of scattering, and along y-axis the number of alpha particles scattered through an angle theta. For small values of theta the number is very large, that is most of the alpha particles go out undeviated. The conclusion drawn by Rutherford for an atom: there is a lot of empty space in the atom which allows unhindered, undeflected, unscattered motion of the alpha particles through it. For 1 in almost 8,000 alpha particles, theta exceeded 90 degree. This is about 90 degree. You have a small fraction of alpha particles scattered through an angle of more than 90 degree, and a very small fraction, an odd alpha particle retraced its path. That is, after going to the world fire, it came back in the original direction. That is, theta was 180 degree. So the second and the third observation led Rutherford to conclude that there is a heavy positively charged small central part in the atom, which he called the nucleus. And the electrons, yes, obviously they were present in the atom. They are present in the extranuclear part. They are not present inside the nucleus. Now, these observations led us to the model of the atom proposed by Rutherford. Now, let's see what were the other results which the scattering experiment led us to. Rutherford could estimate the size of the nucleus, that is, he could estimate nuclear radius. The approach used was, you have an alpha particle which is moving towards the nucleus. The kinetic energy of the alpha particle, let us suppose, is k alpha when it is far from the nucleus. As it approaches the nucleus, the kinetic energy gradually changes to potential energy due to Coulombic repulsion between the nucleus and the alpha particle. Remember, alpha particle is helium doubly ionized ion or helium nucleus with a charge of plus 2e and a mass equal to 4 atomic mass unit. As it approaches a nucleus, it comes to rest at a distance r0, which we call the distance of closest approach to the nucleus. At this point, the kinetic energy which the alpha particle possesses initially, that is half mu square, becomes equal to the electrostatic potential energy given by this expression 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught q1, that is charge on alpha particle, which is plus 2e, q2, that is Ze, the charge on the nucleus, Z being the atomic number of the nucleus. In original Rutherford's experiment, it is Z, taken as Z, over r0, the distance of the closest approach. This relation leads us to r0 equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught 2Z square over k alpha. Clearly, as you can see from the diagram, the nuclear radius will definitely be less than r0. But the success of this experiment can be seen from the fact that this was the first experiment which could estimate a very small distance, that is the nuclear radius. In original experiment, using alpha particle with kinetic energy 5.5 MeV, the value of R0 obtained was 41.3 Fermi, which is much larger than the combined radius of the gold nucleus and the helium nucleus. Today, yes, we have a much better idea of the nuclear radius. It approximates to about 10 Fermi, wherein we have used fast moving alpha particles for a better estimation of the nuclear radius. Another important point in this experiment to be considered is the impact parameter of alpha particle, denoted by B, and its effect on the angle of scattering. Now, what is impact parameter? This diagram will clarify the term impact parameter. This is central line of the nucleus. This is alpha particle, the incident alpha particle, when it is far from the nucleus. This line indicates the original initial velocity of the alpha particle. The perpendicular distance between the initial velocity vector and the central line of the nucleus, which is denoted by B, is called the impact parameter. Now, smaller impact parameter implies that the particle will pass closer to the nucleus. Therefore, it will suffer a larger Coulombic repulsion and hence will have a larger angle of scattering. So, if B is large, that is impact parameter is large, the particle is far from the nucleus and therefore the scattering angle is small. As B decreases, the scattering angle increases. If B is 0, that is the alpha particle has a head-on collision with the nucleus, then this particle retraces its path, that is the angle of scattering becomes 180 degree. The impact parameter B and the scattering angle theta are related by this equation, B equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Z square cotangent theta by 2 divided by k alpha, the kinetic energy of the alpha particle. The results of alpha particle scattering experiment led Rutherford to the following model of the atom, which is well known as the nuclear model of the atom. According to the model, the atom consists of a heavy, small, central core called nucleus. The nucleus has the entire positive charge, 100% charge of the atom is present inside the nucleus, and almost the entire mass of the atom. There is some mass which is outside the nucleus in form of electrons. Second, the size of the nucleus, nearly 10 to the power minus 15 meter, a few Fermi, is very small as compared to that of the atom, nearly 10 to the power minus 10 meter. In order to give you a sort of comparison, if the atom happens to be equal to Earth, then the nucleus is just the size of a playground. So large is the atom as compared to the nucleus. Third, the negatively charged electrons revolve around the nucleus such that the total charge on the electrons is equal to the positive charge on the nucleus. This accounts for the overall neutrality of the atom. The electrons revolve in circular orbits. The centripetal force required for circular motion of the electrons is provided by the electrostatic attraction of the nucleus acting on the electrons. The success of the model was it could explain the results of the scattering experiment. Secondly, it gave us what is very important and crucial to the structure of atom, the central core nucleus of the atom. However, the model suffered from a few drawbacks. One major problem was its failure to explain the stability of the atom. We know that atom is a stable system, but accelerated charged particles, that is the electrons, they emit electromagnetic radiations, lose energy, and then the electron should ultimately fall inside the nucleus, making it an unstable system. Second, the model also failed to explain the discrete nature of hydrogen spectrum. The study of hydrogen spectrum led to the effect that the atom emits only certain definite frequencies. Whereas in Rutherford's model, since the radii could have any value, radii of electron orbits could have any value, the frequencies emitted should also have been continuous, which is not an experimental fact. All things put together, Rutherford gave us the atom model on a very sound footing, which led to further improvements, which we'll study in the next video.